The special light of Rosh Hashanah. L'Dovid Hashem Oiri. L'Dovid Hashem Oiri, Chazal say, that is the or of Rosh Hashanah. What is that special or, that special light of Rosh Hashanah? There's a famous question that Rabbi Salanter asks. On Rosh Hashanah we have the tefillas of Malchus, Zechroinus, and Shaifer. Wouldn't it be more fitting for us to be able to say these tefillas at the end of the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, when we already have purified ourselves, when we have been Chayzer b'Tshuva, when we're on a higher Madrega? Wouldn't that be a more appropriate time to say Malchus, be Mamlich the Rebbeinu Shalom, to be Mamlich the Rebbeinu Shalom when we're more fitting, when we're on a higher, purer level? Another question to be asked is, Rosh Hashanah is the first day of the year, it's a Yom Adin, but it's also the first day of the Aseret Yemei Tshuva. That being the case, why don't we have any vidui? There's no vidui on Rosh Hashanah. It's part of Aseret Yemei Tshuva, the beginning of Aseret Yemei Tshuva, and we don't have vidui, and we don't see the tefillas where we're asking Slicha, Mechila, and we're misvada on our averes. What's our understanding of the tefillas of Rosh Hashanah? The pasuk in Mishlei says, "Derech Avil Yasher Be'einav." The Avil, the fool, his path, his way is in his eyes is proper. He's an Avil, he's a fool, but in his eyes, he's right. What he does is correct. What he does is proper. That is a very common for people who are on a low madrega. They think that low madrega is proper, it's fitting. The words of the Mesilas Yesharim, the famous words of the Mesilas Yesharim, he says that we go in this world of Gashmi, of Chaimer, and it's like walking in the dark. We're walking in darkness, without light. And there's two obstacles of a person who is walking in the dark. One is he doesn't see where he's going, and therefore he could chas v'shalom trip and fall and walk into a pothole. If you can't see where you're going, you don't see the obstacles that are in front of you. But the second michshol of the one who's hoylech b'choshech, the one who walks in darkness, is that he doesn't know what he's seeing. Since there's no light, he doesn't know what he's seeing, and what he sees as something which is good is really bad. In the darkness, in the confusion, he doesn't really know what he's seeing, and things that appear to be good are bad. And that is the Avil, that's the fool, walking in darkness. Just like the dog that goes after and has dung. The Avil is Shoina. We've also, he's the Avil, the fool. He goes and repeats the same mistakes, the same averas, the same lowly things he repeats in his life. And we're surrounded with this world of Gashmi. We are all walking in darkness. So perhaps the pshat is that Rosh Hashanah comes, the beginning of the Aseret Yemei Tshuva, this process of purification. We are really not ready to do proper tshuva. It's the beginning of Aseret Yemei Tshuva, but we have to now prepare ourselves to do tshuva. We have to make ourselves ready to do tshuva, because if we are sunk in this world of the Chaimer, the Olam HaGashmi, if we just continue with our lives, with our perceptions, with our hasagas, with our understanding of our lives and of what's good or bad, we will not really be able to do a proper tshuva, because what we do in our eyes might appear fine, might appear good, and we don't really have the proper hasagas of what we should be and who we should be. So we have the tefillas of Rosh Hashanah, the Malchias. We say Malchias to have an understanding of Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, how small, how insignificant we are. There's a Rebbeinu Shalom oil over there. We have to raise our sights, set our sights higher. We have to have a higher understanding, to elevate ourselves, to bring ourselves up from our low madrega. We have to know and have a full comprehension that there's a Rebbeinu Shalom. In order to begin the process of tshuva, we have to have an understanding of the Rebbeinu Shalom, the awareness of the Rebbeinu Shalom, Malchiyah, Zichroinus, and then we have to penetrate deep and think and reflect on the year past, reflect on our lives, what we've done, and get into the Zichroinus and understand and know that the Rebbeinu Shalom sees everything and knows everything, and everything is recorded, and nothing will be forgotten. And that brings in us to a Imas Hadin, and now the responsibility of introspection and scrutiny, and to really look deep into our lives. So after the Malchiyas is Zichroinus, this responsibility and the understanding and the Imas Hadin that we have to look deeply into our lives, and not only in the big general components, but the prate pratim, the small, each detail, to analyze and scrutinize every detail of our lives to see if it's fitting, if it's appropriate, if it's what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us. But sometimes that's not enough. There's things that are concealed and that we're not aware of, but we could be aware of them. We need the Shaifer, the Shaifers, to open up our hearts, open up our hearts and understanding, and give us that siyata d'shmaya, so that we will be able to penetrate deeply and be able to understand the fine nuances and all the things in our lives, and to be able to understand it and to correct it. Asher ha'am yodei sruah. Fortunate is the nation that knows the sound of the Truah. The Shaifer is, the Rebbeinu Shalom gives us to open our hearts, to bring us closer to Him, and have a greater understanding of what we've done and what we should be doing. And it facilitates the process of tshuva. Hashem b'or panecha yahalechun. That's the or. There's the or of the Shaifer, the or of Rosh Hashanah, the light of Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah and the Shaifer casts light on our lives that are walking through darkness, through the chayshach, and we don't see what we stumble, we don't see what we're doing wrong, and even more so, we think what is good, we think is what is good is bad, what is bad we think is good, we see the chayshach and we think it's light. L'dover Hashem Ayri, the or of Rosh Hashanah, the or of the Shaifer that enlightens us, illuminates our way. So after we have the Malchiyas, the Kabbalah's Ol Malchus Shemaim, that there's a Rebbeinu Shalom, and we have to go higher, and the Zichroinus, the Imas Hadin, to penetrate deeply into our lives, the Shaifer, which gives us the Siyata D'Shmaya, opens our hearts and illuminates our ways, so that we really can find all of those imperfections, all those blemishes, and be masakin them. And that's something that humans are capable of doing. They're capable of penetrating deeply and finding and uncovering the secrets of their lives. I heard a famous word from Rav Shach Zatzal. We just went through Tisha B'Av, and it's known, the famous Maimar Chazal, Al Me'av Ha'aretz. Why was there a Churban? Rahman al-Islam. What was the reason? What was the cause? Dover's initial. This was asked to the Nevi'im. It was asked to the Nevi'im, to the Malachei Ashoras, and to the Chachamim, and nobody could give an answer. No one had an answer to why Al Me'av Ha'aretz, until the Rebbeinu Shalom said, Al Shaloi Berchu B'Torah Tchila. They didn't say Berchus HaTorah. For Rav Shach, if this was something that was so concealed, it was something that was so hidden, it was something that the Malachim didn't know, the Nevi'im didn't, the Chachamim, nobody knew. Al me'havda aretz, how can Klal Yisrael be taken to task for not knowing that? How can they be taken to task for not knowing something that was so concealed and so hidden that even the greatest Chachamim and even the Nevi'im and even the Malachim, nobody knew? So how can Klal Yisrael be taken to task? How can they be punished for something that's so hidden, so concealed, that is so fine and so delicate? Zok Rav Shach, there are things that Chachamim don't know. There are things that Nevi'im don't know, and there are things that even the Malachim don't know. But those things are things that the neshama, a person himself, knows about himself. There are things that a person knows about himself that are concealed that nobody knows. That nobody knows. Only the Rabbeinu Shalom. Only the Rabbeinu Shalom and the person himself. That neshama. The neshama is dak min adak. It's chelek, elekai mimal. It's a chelek of the Rabbeinu Shalom. There are things that nobody knows. Not even the Chachamim, not even the Nevi'im, not even the Malachim. But the neshama knows itself, the things that the person knows he's capable of knowing about his own neshama. It's a chelek elekai mimal. But the neshama has to be open to this. Rav Shach said when this realization came to him, when he comprehended this truth, he said it was as if he felt like the walls of his house were shaking. When he came to this realization that it was shaking and trembling with tremors. That's Rosh Hashanah. L'don Hashem Ayri. Ayri is the Rosh Hashanah, the or of Rosh Hashanah. Ashe am yaydei sruah. Hashem b'or panecha ya'alechon. We have this or in Rosh Hashanah that opens her up, that draws us to the Rebbeinu Shalom. And with the Malchus, the Chreins and Shaifers, we're capable of comprehending even those hidden things in our lives. Even those hidden things in our lives which are so concealed, and even things that nobody knows. But we're capable of uncovering them, and being masakin them, and improving, and elevating ourselves. And that's the avodah of Rosh Hashanah.